like stories about animals, and I particularly like stories about clever animals. So that's the story I'm going to tell you today. I'm going to tell you about a very clever animal called Turtle. Turtle was very, very happy living in her pond. She had a beautiful pond. It was just right for her. It had just enough water, it had just enough food, and it had beautiful big rocks that she could lay on and sun herself. It was the perfect home for her. But you know what happens? The seasons change, right? And when the seasons change, Miss Turtle has to go deep down in the bottom of the pond and dig into the mud to live there through the winter. Because the pond ices over in the winter and she can't live up there. There's no food for her. So she hibernates down in the mud. Well, one winter when she was hibernating down in the mud, Beaver came along. And Beaver decided he liked Turtle's pond. And he decided he'd move in. He built a dam and the water got higher and higher and higher. And he built himself a beautiful mud lodge, and he settled in, and that's where he lived. And what happened next? Spring came, because that's how the seasons work. And when spring comes, Miss Turtle starts swimming out of that pond, and she climbs out of that mud, and she swims, and swims, and keeps swimming, until finally she breaks the surface of the water. Well, she doesn't know what happened to her pond. It's so much deeper than it used to be. And all her sunning rocks are covered with water. Well, she looks around and she sees the Beaver's lodge. And she says, "Well, who are you?" And Beaver says, "I'm Beaver, and I live in this pond." Oh, Miss Turtle says, "But this is my pond. I've lived here my whole life. Can I stay here with you?" Beaver just couldn't believe she even asked that and said, "No, of course not. I've done a lot of work here. This is my pond now. But maybe if I challenge you to a race and you win, you can stay." Wow. Miss Turtle didn't know what to think about that. Beaver had his long, flat tail, and she figured he was a really good swimmer. And she was just a tiny turtle. What was she to do? Well, of course she said yes, because she loved her pond, and it was where she lived her whole life. What else could she do? So, they decided the next morning they would race from one side of the pond to the other, and whoever won got to stay. Well, you know what happened, right? All the animals in the forest started talking. They started telling each other, "There's going to be a race, there's going to be a race, there's going to be a race." And Fox told Wolf, and Wolf told Bear, and Bear told all the other animals, and they gathered at sunrise to see the race. They were so excited. They were lined up just like all of you are, waiting for the race to begin. Some of the animals were rooting for Turtle. Turtle, Turtle, Turtle. And some of the animals were rooting for Beaver. Beaver, Beaver, Beaver. They were all excited for the race to begin. Well, here comes Beaver and Turtle. They line up on the shore. Bear raises his arms, and what does he say to start the race? Ready, set, go! And away they went. Beaver jumped into that pond, and Turtle, clever girl that she was, snapped onto Beaver's tail just in time. Beaver was swimming and swimming as fast as he could. He looked behind him, and he couldn't believe what he saw. Turtle was right behind. He couldn't believe she could swim that fast. He swam faster, fast as he could go, faster and faster and faster. Turtle bit down harder. She held on to Beaver's tail as hard as she could and kept up as best as she could. Well, All the animals on the shore couldn't believe it. Pretty soon you heard more. Turtle, turtle, turtle. And not quite as many. Beaver, beaver, beaver. Soon Beaver could see the other shoreline. He knew he was going to win. He swam as fast as he could. And Miss Turtle chomped down on his tail as hard as she could. Yow! Beaver threw his tail over his head, and Miss Turtle went with it. Right on the shore she landed, and she hurried as quick as her short little turtle legs would carry her across the finish line. Turtle! 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 Turtle won the race! Beaver could not believe it. He was so embarrassed. Turtle ran to him and said, I know I won, but I'll be happy to share my pond with you if you want to stay. But Beaver said no. He was so embarrassed, he just walked right out of those woods and left. Well, seasons passed like seasons do. And his dam broke down. The water level went down in the pond, and soon Miss Turtle had plenty of rocks to sun herself on again. She was happy in her pond ever after that. And do you know what happened to Mr. Beaver?
No.
He walked himself over to the next pond where another turtle lived. And do you know what he did this time?
What's that?
He said, may I please share your pond with you? And that turtle said, why, yes, of course. And they lived happily for many seasons after in that pond.